Tom is an amazing person. Nicest guy you'd ever meet. Doesn't have the best luck in the world.
I used to consider Tom Thompson like my big brother.
Tom Thompson. Very ambitious guy.
Tom's a very, very smart individual.
What happened?
I don't know.
Very smart.
I think the motor might have seized up.
Tom Thompson needs to lose weight.
I had to drink a cup of coffee, dude.
Tom's a likable guy. He's very laid back. He's really funny.
He's really funny. He's great to have on set, even if he's not doing anything.
I think Tom's a nice guy. He's a great guy. Certainly don't think I would ever hire him to work on a film that I'm doing.
I always say this when I introduce him, and I always say that Tom Thompson taught me everything I know about filmmaking, even though I'm a film school graduate. When I say that, I really mean that Tom Thompson showed me all the things that I'm not supposed to be as a filmmaker.
I've known Tom through his young adult since he was in his 20s to, the gray-haired old guy that he is now, and I watched him be really successful in his careers, the business that he opened and ran the digital Stormfront and doing all the TV commercials and NASCAR and Club Med and things like that.
Before Waste of Space, we used to work together doing advertising, actually. Done a lot of commercials.
He made commercials. He was fairly successful.
We started doing some commercials. We did a big ad campaign.
He had a successful commercial company making money, and everything that he said was, the word of God and true, and it worked. And there was never anybody to doubt him.
He was doing great.
He was doing quite well.
There was a time where people would believe me. If I said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and based on my track record and what they knew of me and what I'd done in the past, people would, I think he's going to do that. Now I say things like that and people roll their eyes. Oh, crazy old Tom, just dreaming again. I don't blame him.
Why did you make Waste of Space?
Mostly because I thought it'd be a really good challenge, I had been doing commercials for a while and was doing pretty good at it. Not just that financially doing okay, but we had done some nice work, and I just figured that I was ready to, capable. Let's put it that way. Ready might be the wrong word.
I think Tommy was at the stage that he wanted to do something more than he was doing, making commercials.
Once we reconnected after working together, a couple of years had passed, and it was at that point that I realized what his passion was.
He wanted to make a movie, had this huge desire to make a movie, and that's what caused him to, find my movie and contact me.
Tom has always been successful without any effort whatsoever. That's why I felt was something that he had so much passion to do, he was going to pull it off. It was going to be a success.
I'd heard lots of stories about making movies and it being really challenging, and other stories about it being really rewarding. So I figured, well, that's a great combination, challenging and rewarding. So I wanted to try that, Here's the title.
It's a good
The opening titles. Waste of Space. Shit. My first bad decision when I decided to make the film is I thought, because I knew marketing and advertising, that all you have to do is pick something that has a great built-in audience, provide that product for those people, and you can't miss. And so I figured, okay, well, sci-fi's got a built-in audience. So I told Derek, let's find a script that's sci-fi based but funny.
We got the script for a radio play. It was like the adventures of it was a silly name, like the adventures of some silly spaceship.
He came across a Canadian radio play called The Not So Happening Adventures of the Cosmic Cruiser.
And Tom actually took a gander at it, and we totally wanted to redo the whole thing, so.
Originally, the idea was we were going to shoot a pilot and pitch it to Sci-Fi Channel.
He really was tied to the idea of selling it to Sci-Fi Channel and then hoping that it becomes a series.
What are these guys? They're intergalactic trash pickers or something?
Kinda. They go get core samples from, remote moons and planets and stuff and see if there's anything of value.
Oh. Huh.
I thought you read the script.
I did.
And through all the revisions, there was a lot of revisions, it never got funny.
What do you think the big issues are?
That it's not very funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, is it supposed to be a comedy?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a comedy.
Then you have a big problem. It wasn't a bad script, just wasn't the best thing to make as an indie.
I must say, that chap doesn't make me think that this is going to go well. What do you think of the chances of success?
None.
Damn it.
So all that led to huge mistake number 4, which was, let's just shoot what we got. We got this warehouse, we're on a timeline, we're building sets. I know the script needs work, but for some reason, that time deadline became more important than making sure we had a great script to shoot, because I stopped looking at it like the director and started looking at it like the producer.
The first day you went to the set, what did you think when you saw this set?
There was no set. There was Derek Carmel with some tools, some styrofoam, and a warehouse.
Me and Tom would go to Home Depot and just pick up 2x4. I would draw like a little diagram, like, here, we need this, and he would just, I want 2x4s, we can't afford this, but we can get you 2x4s.
It looked like a guy alone in a warehouse trying to figure out what to do.
There's like this huge pile of 2x4s and a huge stack of plywood. He goes, build something. And I was like, what the fuck?
I reached out to a drummer from a band of mine, Dave LaBarge, and he's a carpenter. He's a master carpenter. I mean, the guy is qualified to like build boats that, so he went and started giving Derek a hand.
Then we got Dave to come in, help me out, and just the two of us banged out like the bridge, the shuttle, the moron with the foam.
Actually, what's amazing to me, he did a great job. I mean, the film was like fantasy world. I mean, he turned this big nothing into the amazing dream world. It was a real movie set, and I was shocked when I saw it first time.
They had constructed this big interior of a spaceship, and it wasn't great, but for me, it was really cool.
Was there a teeter point where you knew you were in over your head?
I knew I was in over my head long before we actually started shooting this movie.
As big of a production they were biting off, they really needed experienced people.
I didn't know what I was doing, really, and I was just kind of winging it the whole time.
I was doing script supervising, which I hadn't done on anything before.
Wes would say, hey, Scott, go grab that 2K. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what the fuck is a 2K?
I had not done a movie before. I had done all television, 30-second spots, and a lot of radio. So was a little apprehensive about doing it, didn't want to let him down. It came down to me and some other guy, and he said he had to go with his gut, and he really wanted me to do it. And I said, I'll do the best I can for you, but don't expect too much.
Captain!
I don't know what I was thinking, but it was like, there's so much bullshit that goes into making a movie, and then realizing that you're the producer and you're responsible for all that stuff, and then realizing, Melissa knew a little bit about some things, and Derek knew a little bit about some things, but nobody knew how to do it properly, so we were just winging it. I mean, we were looking it up online.
I think that's kind of indicative of the entire thing.
We did one read through of the script.
I wasn't even involved in that at that point.
And Jeremy wasn't even part of the movie at that point.
We got into shooting, and we never got a chance to really rehearse or block or anything.
There were no rehearsals whatsoever. I barely got to meet Darla, my co-star, for 3 minutes before we started filming.
Tim Goey played the captain, Steve.
Funny guy. Funny guy. He thinks he's funny. I had a scene where I had to kiss Tim.
Oh, Tom's one of my biggest fans.
And I had to tell him.
She told me there's a list of rules that when you have a Hollywood kissing scene, you don't press real hard, you do not have an emotion, you count sheep in your head.
No tongue.
No tongue.
And he tried to sneak it in there a couple times.
Pretty much everything that I did the very first take that we took it. I think if you would ask Darla, she was digging me after that. No question about it.
The last time I trusted you, I ended up in a Girls of Earth Fleet pictorial for Alien Skank magazine.
But you looked great.
Which I thought would segue perfectly, and I'd get invited to the topless scene over at the pool, but that didn't quite work out.
Prior to production, I tried over and over to tell Tom that the movie needed boobs. The structure of an independent movie is simple. Give them boobs at the beginning. That'll buy you 10 minutes of time. In that 10 minutes, you have to get them engaged or to laugh or into the story. And if you don't, you need to show them boobs again.
I had never taken my top off on camera before. And I agreed to do it for this film.
Boobs were finally added, which I believe has a lot to do with me. Those boobs, I will take 80% credit for.
Everybody was forbidden. There was only, I think, 2 or 3 people from the crew that were allowed.
The day at the pool, Tom brought some wine for me to help me relax.
Actually, Melissa gave her some wine, and then Jenny Esna, whose house we were using, gave Melissa more wine to give her. And I thought she'd had a couple glasses of wine. Turns out she had a couple bottles of wine.
I drank them both myself within 30 minutes.
There's a little ledge we had for her to stand on. She kept falling off of that. And so she's supposed to have this kind of sensual thing where she goes under the waterfall and comes up, and her hair gets whooshed back by the water, and she, slowly undoes her top, and she gives Steve this seductive look. Well, she just plows through the waterfall and rips off her top.
Got sick. Hit my head on the toilet.
It was a mess.
Yeah, we had to reshoot.
So she had to relive the experience again, totally sober, because she got drunk the first time.
It seemed like it was really, really, really not good, to say the least, when the best thing about the movie was going to be Darla Delgado's tits.
After finally seeing the movie, the boobs just don't belong in this movie.
When did we get pillows on the bridge?
We didn't. Those are my breasts, sir.
So ultimately, my greatest contribution became useless.
You know what sucks about making a bad movie is really having a good time making the bad movie and then realizing you have a bad movie.
What the hell are you talking about?
I was having fun, and I think everybody else was having fun. And even though I knew it was my dream, but that wasn't my point. I wanted everybody else to enjoy being part of my dream.
I think one of the great things about Tom as a director is that he does keep the set so light, usually.
There were times where we laughed so hard that we couldn't even finish a take.
Gee, Admiral, I wonder what could be more challenging than hauling a bunch of rocks around.
From what I've heard.
For some reason, I just started laughing. I couldn't stop. I think it went on for maybe half an hour.
I remember on set, I showed up, and Wes wasn't there, the DP.
We were getting ready to shoot, and we didn't know where the director of photography was.
Turned out that Wes was in jail, and I had to rig the lighting that day, which might explain a lot for some of those scenes.
Scott ended up trying to fill in, doing the lighting, and he was just kind of winging it, but it's like nobody knew better. It's like, hell, I can see the person, fuck it, let's shoot. When we got to about the middle point, we started running into a few problems. People were starting to get tired, sick of working in this super hot place.
Most of the stuff where the bridge was on the second floor of this airplane warehouse, which, oh, by the way, was this rounded aluminum. You couldn't find a hotter place.
You would put the makeup brush onto their face and it literally would you could wring it out. It was just so gross. So gross.
It got hotter as it went on, And, of course, the incident with the girl playing the princess.
We got a shuttle that's all enclosed, and I've got a big 1K booming down. Everything is pretty tight. There's a 216 frame on this side with a 2K blowing through it, and there's another 1K over here, and a bunch of inkies in the top that are really hot small lights inside the box with these two young children actors.
They were maybe, 13 to 16 years old or something like that, and one of them literally passed out on set from the heat.
How would you like to hear the sound of your brain sizzling down to about the size of a meatball?
And she just basically hits the ground.
Wes went down and got one of these big air ducts that was blowing air into the building, and he brought it over to her, and he was blowing the air right on her from this big air duct, trying to wake her up.
Holy shit, please don't let this little girl die on my set.
And, she did, which was good.
Man, that was scary.
Nice going, moron.
That was a huge mistake. Well, one of many.
What happened in that first 30 days after the shoot?
First 30 days after we got done shooting was exciting, because now you get to look at the footage for the first time.
Movie was finished at that point, but something happened.
A lot of the stuff that I thought was okay on set, my ignorance as a newbie director, was, oh, that's good enough, and then you try to cut it together and go, it's crap. It's crap. What are you going to do,
And I got involved in it right at the middle of it. I give him some money, start giving him money to finish the project.
But instead of doing the post-production with that cash, which was the original plan, we ended up shooting bar scenes because we needed more stuff, and then the first bar scenes weren't any good, so we had to reshoot the bar scenes, which pretty much ate up most of the money.
By the time Tom scraped this money together, he was pretty stressed out.
Yeah, well, he's beyond stressed out.
Yeah.
Beyond stressed out.
We were running behind and didn't look like we were going to make our day, and Tom was getting frustrated, and actors weren't remembering their lines, probably because everybody was drinking on set.
First it's the alcohol, then it's the pills. Pretty soon you're waking up in a strange place with an itchy crotch and an empty wallet.
Amen, brother.
I didn't even understand where it fit in the movie.
Yeah.
But that happened a lot,
Tom was always very particular about how he wanted scenes edited, and so I would work on something and he would come back and he would be like, I gotta sit down and I gotta go through it myself.
I had a totally different sense of flow, timing, things like that than Derek. So I would constantly change what Derek was doing, and it was driving him nuts, and I was like, screw it, I can't afford to pay him anymore anyway.
I was lucky enough that I got paid for a while I was editing, but it can't be an infinite process till the movie. He couldn't afford to keep everybody on.
The next day I walked into the office and everybody was gone. Everybody was gone. And that's when it dawned on me, this is all you, and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know enough to finish this movie. There's a lot of stuff that happened during the course of this, and one of them being what I call and other people call the Muse River fiasco. And Sam stepped in and he came up with this idea about, we got to start a corporation and I can raise you $1 million and everything will be fine, so don't stress out. And I'm like, okay. Well, next thing you know, I'm having to write business plans and do all this crap I don't know how to do. And of course, the only people that put up any money are friends and family and stuff like that. I'm going, okay, well, we got a little bit of money. Okay, Sam, now what? And he goes, well, there's been a market downturn and things aren't the way they were, so I don't think I'm going to be able to help you out. And I'm the guy who has to try to explain to friends and family what happened to their money and when am I going to get it back. So Waste of Space now, I know it's never going to be a good movie, but now I have to make it good enough to be able to get some money back for these people, because
the reason that he keeps going is out of guilt and a desire to pay back the people that put money up. A lot of them are friends of his.
And they only put up the money to support me, and I didn't want to let them down. So I look at it as I owe them the money,
That's why he's doing it right now, is for that.
The kinds of things that happened to us during post-production are, most of them were typical things that would happen during post-production.
Computers breaking down.
His computer locked up, he lost his timeline.
Having to recapture all the tapes and then re-editing all of that.
But the kinds of things that happened during this phase of post-production just were downright biblical.
There's so many, I have no idea.
His mother passed away during post-production. His dogs passed away. We're talking about 2 animals that were like his children. A lightning struck his home. It looked like it was bombed out. I mean, it was ridiculous.
A volcano of bullshits after that, which is unbelievable. Everything just went wrong.
This project, it broke him. Like, it broke like mind, body, and spirit. It just ruined him.
Tom's health deteriorated very rapidly.
Remember, there's a day he showed up, he's all like veins popping in his head, and he's all like, you know, weird, his eyes were out of focus.
I begged him, please go to the emergency room, go to the hospital.
When you're sitting there in the emergency room and the nurse's eyes are like this big, you're like, okay, that can't be good.
Commander, shouldn't the captain be here for this?
Well, normally yes, but the captain's getting his physical at the moment.
And how long could it possibly take to blow into a breathalyzer?
Now I told him in the emergency room, I go, listen, I don't have any money and I don't have any insurance. And the next thing you know, I was all drugged up on a bunch of stuff and checked into a hospital room with a bunch of doctors and a bunch of tests every day. I was there for a week, and they were like, I guess they thought I was gonna croak.
The doctor told him that if he would have just gone home and went to bed, which is what he was going to do, he probably would not have woken up the next day.
I didn't die, which is really awesome, but I got out of there with another $70-something thousand worth of debt.
Tom's in a hard place now, and it's pretty much all because of this movie. You know, he's hopelessly behind on his mortgage. He's had a lot of trouble finding work.
How long have you been building cabinets for?
Well, it's day labor stuff, you know. Trying to keep the bills paid while I continue the hunt for a job.
That well that provided him with, you know, a standard of living for so many years kind of dried up.
I can not only not get these people paid back, I can't pay my own bills. And that's hard, because when you're used to being the guy who picks up the check, and now you're the guy that might be living in his car, it's hard to deal with. Gotta swallow a lot of pride, you know?
But he didn't quit then.
Have you seen the finished film?
You know, actually, I have not. I have not seen the finished film from beginning to end.
I haven't seen the film. I'd like to see it just to see what it came out like.
There's only a handful of people on this planet who've seen Waste of Space.
There's probably about 100 people that saw a rough cut of it, and it was pretty rough, and you know, it wasn't very good, and they saw it, and you know, if you polled them independently, I would say that at least 8 out of 10 would say piece of shit.
Shit was garbage, man.
And then you get a few people that would try to be nice, but basically say it's a piece of shit.
It was pretty good sometimes in places.
And you might find 1 or 2 that kind of liked it for some reason.
It's actually cute in a way.
So their opinion has spread, and now anybody who hasn't seen it, who's got any curiosity at all, thinks this is the worst movie ever made.
Why do you think the film has never been released?
It's bad.
Vince got it to a distributor that he knew. It was actually the only feedback I got the entire time.
I did hear back from my foreign sales agent.
She sent him back an email.
She wrote, watched it, did not like it.
It's not funny enough.
The special effects aren't good enough.
It's not sci-fi enough.
The costumes aren't good enough.
audio lacks ambiance, etc.
Well, that's not good.
At that point, I was like, this movie's never going to see the light of day.
A lot of people saw that as, wow, this movie's completely garbage.
Got that right.
So there was only one thing left to do, and that was re-edit the movie, try to make it better.
When I got the phone call to just come here and do this, I just figured we were shooting some more wasted space. Do another scene.
How much do you hate sitting down to this computer and looking at this timeline?
A lot. I mean, I really...
He would focus on such minute, minuscule details that anyone that's not obsessive compulsive would not even notice them in the slightest. And he would waste entire work days just trying to polish a turd.
I hate it.
You know, I think Tom's a perfectionist, so he always goes back and re-edits and re-edits and reshoots and re-edits and rewrites and re-edits and rewrites and re-edits and reshoots. I don't even know what the film's about anymore.
To the outside people who don't understand, Tom lost everything and has gone crazy and has completely fallen apart, and he's an idiot. To people in the film industry, he's following his dream and he's making it happen. He's chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole. Whether that takes a year or 50 years, the point is that he saw something that he wanted to do and he's chasing it. And he's making that happen no matter what it takes.
Are you scared to finish it?
Well, yeah, because what if everybody goes, geez, what did he waste his time finishing that for? It's a piece of shit, you know?
But aren't people already saying that?
Yeah, it's true. But only a few people have seen it, so there's not that many people who can say it with gusto, and you can believe it because they can say, yes, I saw it. But what they saw was different than what this is. So, but what if I do this and go, okay, this is a lot better, and then a bunch of people see it and they go, wow, what a piece of shit. then there's nowhere to hide, you know? Yeah, I guess I am scared.
Let it go. Just accept that it's a piece of shit and be like, hey, you know what? I made a piece of shit, but at least I made a movie. What have you done?
The dream has kept me going for a long time, and then my responsibility to investors kept me going for a long time. But it's time to put the dream aside. Whatever you have, it's done. Whatever you get for that, and you did your best. I really see myself being able to turn it all around if I can just be done with this. If I can just be done with this movie. But I'm forever optimistic. I'll find a way, somehow.
Tom, to me, is an inspiration. Every time I get frustrated and I feel like chucking this career of mine as a filmmaker and say, screw this crap, I can't, tolerate this, I think about Tom. As much as he's gone through, he's never given up. So why the hell should I?
These were people that understand there was a man here in front of them that had given his heart and soul and every nickel to live his dream. And he did it. He went and he did it. And there's a lot of people that can't say that they've done that.
He put his life on the line for what he believed. He mortgaged his house, and he tried to do anything possible to accomplish his dream.
For all its failures, Waste of Space was monumental as a community building project that really defined the filmmaking community in Tampa Bay.
It was the greatest time I ever had on a set.
I've made some really good friends from that movie, and it's because of Tom.
I would still have to say it was the absolute best experience of my life, bar none.
Dude, seriously, man. I'm trying to get this thing done.
TV.